Hello, so today's box is called Artificial. It's rated as easy and we will get right into it. I already did the scan and we ended up with 22 and 80. And it didn't follow the redirect to Artificial, so we'll just go ahead and add that to our Etsy host. Okay. And we'll do a dirt search. We don't have any credentials, so we can't really do anything with 22. You could check for this. That's not vulnerable to anything. So 80 is our way in. And you could also check that 1.18.0. But we're good to go on that. So we'll go ahead and do a dirt search. Tech you. We got to redirect to a login directory. We got to register. Okay, looks like that's it. So you already know we're probably going to just go straight to that register. You check the login as well. Do view, viewing the source. You always want to do that. View the source, Luke. If you know which hacker says that, comment down below. But view the source, Luke. Yeah. There's nothing really of interest there, so. Let's go register. And I guess we'll just try. And that redirects us to the login page. Try our new account. Okay. So we got a file upload thing here. Oh yeah, I already downloaded this stuff. Of course, I've already done this box, so it's giving us requirements. Actually, I'll just go through command line and open this, but that's bad. Yeah, so requirement is TensorFlow 2.13.1 and a Docker file, right? So So it looks like we're intended to run spin up a Docker container. I'm gonna do this through a Python virtual environment because to me it's more simple. So we'll do it that way. And it looks like you can upload a file here, and it takes a .h5. Okay, so see what we jot down what we found so far. Yeah, do Tehuti for the password, and then file upload .h5 file or do something like what is a .h5 file? Okay. So it's a way of uploading your model, which is what it says here, right? You know, upload, manage, and run your AI models here. So if you Google for that, you'll see, I basically just Googled TensorFlow exploit file upload, and this came up. And it looks like we can get RCE by running this exploit.py, and it'll create, we have a few options, right? These are all options. And this exploit.py will create a brand new simple malicious model with a reverse shell inside of it. So we will opt for that. So let's get started with that. And again, like I said earlier, I'm going to use something called UV. A lot of times you would do pipx, right, to spin up a virtual environment, but and to not modify or mess with your system-wide dependencies. So you would spin up that virtual environment, but pipx works for CLI apps. So something like poetry, right? You could run via pipx. So you would just be like pipx poetry, whatever, right? But in this case, this is not, as you saw earlier, that exploit.py, this is not like an application. This is just exploit code, right? Which UV, but it requires dependencies. UV can do that by itself. It's like perfect for that, actually. I already installed it, so I'm not gonna reinstall it. But if you need to do that, these are the commands. I'm using ZSH, so you could just change this down here to bash, right? To restart your bash session, it'll do that. So for now, I'll just go ahead and spin up that. And it says here, you can actually activate it. So it creates the environment, then you activate it, and you can see my terminal changed to what we created, right? TF environment. Okay, and again, I already did this, but we'll try it again anyways. Remember, the document said that we needed 2.13.1, so we'll do that. Missing the equal, yeah. I forgot to go through there and show you, but if I do requirements, that was the requirements document, right? And then you had the Docker file in there as well. But so you have to specify this exactly as is over here for the pip install, right? And then you can verify the setup with, I have these commands saved, so I'm just gonna print out the version. .13.1, 2.13.1, right? So now, if you've ever seen, like if you started up a web server before, you did like Python 3, right? Or you just did Python, HTB, you know, whatever, or TACM, like that. Well, in this case, we have to use 3.8, right? Because that's what the well, we have to use 3.8 because that's the requirement. So we'll do Python 3.8 exploit.py, and this should generate. Oh, we gotta grab the files first. What am I doing here? As you can see, it's not here. So we'll do that git clone for that repository we were talking about that we found earlier. And we will, and you can see it grabbed those files, and we wanted to do this one, right? So we'll just Python 3.8 exploit. Actually, we'll cat it first. You see here, what it's doing is it's got this operating system command. It's a reverse shell, and it's hitting this IP, which is local, which is obviously not what we want. We want it to hit our Kali IP, right? So we'll do that. Modify this file a little bit. Grab my IP. I like 444, so we'll just do that. Okay. And now we'll run that. You can see it created that .h5 file, and this is what we're gonna upload now, right? And it has our IP and everything. So we'll just come over here and we'll start. Let me go back to my directory, and we're gonna start at Penelope. I like Penelope. It'll auto upgrade shells and stuff like that. So, and we'll tell it port. You can also run it without this argument. You just run Penelope and it'll listen on everything. Okay. So go here. Yeah. Upload that. And so it's only uploaded now, right? But we need to still execute this file. And luckily there's a view predictions file, which looks like it probably interacts with the file that we uploaded. So we'll click that, and that should execute it to read it. And you see something's happening with our Penelope listener here. Okay, so we'll minimize that. You see it got a reverse shell from the system, and it's automatically attempting to upgrade to a PTY. It's Python 3, interacting. Yeah, and it's also logging, right? So we landed. So let's just do some situational awareness. So we have an ID. Okay. Do LS. Wait, can we do that? Yeah. Okay. So we're landed in the app directory. So we got app.py. You already know we're gonna cut that out, right? Let's do nano on it for color. Okay, so offer if I see a secret key here. So we'll just grab that, and let me catch up on my notes over here. We've done quite a bit. So we'll just scroll up over here. Grab our commands. See, this is why I had to get rid of that equal sign earlier, was that it was messing up my documents. Now I can also code block this entire thing. And actually, in fact, we'll do that. Code block it. And now everything will be a little bit cleaner. Get clone. YAML exploit.qy. Changed IP and port. And then we built it out. We built the .h5. And we'll put a little explanation up here between okay. And we find a .h5 file upload section. We Googled for an exploit at and find a repo. Put that right there. And that should be good enough. I'm gonna try not to forget to take my notes. I still, from time to time, just get ahead of myself there. Okay. And LB tap. H5 and clicked view predictions to execute it. Received reverse shell. Okay. And then we did cat .py. And that's how we got to this. Okay. So we got another password here. So what we do just immediately is check to see if there's any users. Go back to the home directory, and yes, we do. We have found Gale user. So we can just try to, and we'll deactivate over here. You can do deactivate because we already have it built out, so we don't need this virtual environment anymore. So we try to SSH to this system. And every time you get a new piece of information, try it, right? So SSH is Gale, and we have this super secret thing over here. Let's see if that works. It does not work. Okay. But you want to be in the habit of that. Does not work for, because there could be, you know, password reuse going on, right? Yeah. So we'll go back to that app directory here. We'll run a command called tree tac a. Tac a is for everything. Oh, tree's not on here. Okay. Well, then I guess we gotta do this manually. So let's go to instance, the first directory there. Okay, so we got a DB file. So what can you do with a DB file? You can do a SQLite 3. It's basically like interactive, like MySQL, like doing MySQL, but we'll do SQLite 3. And since this is the database, this is the user's database, we just have to show tables, right? So how do you do that with SQLite? You do SQLite 3 users DB, because that's the same thing as like if you were in MySQL, if you ever enumerated MySQL and you did MySQL, and then you did show databases, you authenticated with MySQL, and then once you're in the interactive prompt, you did show databases, semicolon. Well, the very next step, once it lists out the databases, you want to list out the tables, right? But we've already got the database selected here, which is users.db. So we'll do dot tables, which is the equivalent of show tables, right? So we'll do that. And these are our tables now. So we'll modify this. So we got a model and we got a user. Well, we're interested in users, right? So I'm gonna do select all from user, and we'll get rid of this. Put a semicolon there. And bam. Looks like we got some users and stuff, including Gail, right? Gail is on this system as we saw. So we're gonna go for that one. So we'll do cd to app instance found users.db. We did that, and we did this. And so right off rip, you can just take this to CrackStation. This is the very lazy way of doing this. Let me grab the okay, and you just throw that in there. And that'll give you the password. The CLI way of doing this, you do it with John and Hashcat, but we will just, so we have that. Take it over here, we'll do nano hash Gale. Throw it in there. With John, you can just do that, and it'll try to identify the type of hash it is. So here it says, well, use this, right? MD5 as well. And since I didn't give it a word list, it's going to try to crack it, brute force it. So what we'll do is we'll just do John. You know what? I have this command. Let me just copy paste that. So John, and I'm using the RockU word list, which is all of our favorites for passwords, and then that hash.gale. And we'll run that. Oh, I forgot to put the format. We'll do, as we saw earlier, it was an MD5 on CrackStation, right? Identified as a MD5. So we'll try that. It was also up here. You could try some of these options. It usually, it looked like an MD5 to me, so I'll do that. Yoop. How about this? Identifier. Take the hash, throw it in there. And it says possible hashes MD5. Hash identifier. So both of John and Hashcat have their own hash identifier modes now. I find that they don't work as well as hash identifier. So if you really want to know real quick, you can use hash identifier. MD5, right, tells you off right. So we'll exit that, and we'll do that. The MD5 mode for hashcat is 0. So, and I'll show you how to identify that actually. Might have to go into manual. Yeah, okay. So we'll go man hashcat, and we'll search MD5. Just until we see. Right, so here at the top. And what I did down here was I just did a slash, right? Once you're inside the manual of any tool, you can just do a slash to search for something. And then I just typed in MD5, right? And hash types is 0. So that's what we'll use. We'll do hash 0, hash.gale, and we'll use the same word list for passwords. We'll run that. Oh, and since I cracked it earlier, it's saying just use, yeah. And usually the output would be different, but I did it earlier, so it's already like, hey, you already did this. And so I just had to add that tag show, and here's the password again, right? Okay, so we have the password, so we'll just take this command. Just pretend that. Put that right there, because we have to grab all of this as well. Yep. And so we have Gale, and here's the password. So what we're going to do, we got new credentials. You already know, we're going to SSH. Let's practice. Okay. And boom, we're in as Gale. Okay. And we'll leave this reverse shell up. So situation awareness, right? So let's just run ID. Okay, so Gale has this this group sysadmin. So to me, that's interesting. So what we'll do is we'll search for any files that are owned by sysadmin, and we'll see what comes up here. So we'll do find from root the group sysadmin, and we will throw anything else into null, and we're doing the ls, right? I think that's correct. Yeah. Just grab this. That's going to take a little bit because we're running from the root directory. Found sysadmin group. Did that, and you can see here we already got a file in backups by backrest. So let's do netstat antup. On Linux, I like to do netstat antup. On Windows, you want to do netstat anno, right? And you can netstat tag h to see what that's doing. But here we're going to be looking for any locally running ports that we're not running externally, just to see if there's any services running or being hosted or anything. And here we can see we have this 5000 port and then this 9898 port running locally. This is on the 53. So yeah, and this is our This is our shell right here, right? You can see that 444 again. That's already established though, right? We want to find stuff that's listening locally. So we have this, so we'll or note that down along with the, so I think so I know this backrest thing is doing like backups, right? You can also Google or GPT that, what is backrest? Okay. I thought that might happen. We'll have to give it a little bit more context, but for now, this is what a backrest is. Um, um, what is backrest? Backup. They're usually made out of wood, and okay, I'll shut up. Okay, so you can get a GUI for so I'm willing to bet that's what's being hosted on one of these ports. You can just be like, what ports does it use by default? All right. Well, would you look at that? 98, 98. Okay, so we already know that's probably what's going on here. So, we'll just do found. Then do netstat and top. And we'll copy these two ports. And I'll just say backrest uses 9898 by default. Okay. So let's actually grab this file. I think we have a pretty good way forward that we've enumerated. And notice that we didn't really even do that much enumeration. Like there's a ton more enumeration to be had. You want to get you a list or a checklist of things to check for, but I'm pretty sure with just like these two commands, we've already figured out the way in, right? So, so from our port 22 is open, we have credentials. So we could transfer this file using SCP, or we can do the good old, we'll CD here, right? And run an HTTP server, web server. So CD there. And then we'll do Python 3. Does this system have Python 3? Yep. Okay. Control D. Okay. Actually, let's show the IP. What am I doing? We already know the IP. HTTP server. That's listening, and we'll see artificial, and we will get that. 129, 36, 109, port 8000, and grab that. Output to that. You see it grabbed it. You can also have an SCP command for that. But you see that was pretty instant, right? If you did SCP, okay, yeah. So the user, the box, the file location, and then what I want to call it, right? Do that. Then you gotta supply the password. Where'd I put the password? There we go. And so it's pulling over the SSH protocol. Just wasn't as instant, right? So, and yeah, because I pulled it twice, right? You'll see it there. We'll just get rid of the .1. Okay. We'll do tar x, because you can see that it's tarred and gzipped. So to get rid of both of them at the same time, you can just do this. You see, it does all that. We'll cd into backrest, which is what it just untarred and unzipped. Starting here, you can see that, and then just goes down. We'll do this. And since I know we have tree on my system, we'll do tree all, so it'll find any hidden files as well. And so we got a config file right here. We got a script, JSON web token, but this is so we can do something in tree AF. I love tree AF. It gives you the files as well, or the file path as well from where you are currently working. So you could do cat, copy paste that, and we'll look at that. We have a bcrypt password, and this is encoded, base64 encoded. Okay, so let's go back to our notes. And we'll put this up here under the backup and didn't get it. Okay. Then we did tar xbf backrest backup tar.gc. Found a config.json. Password bcrypt. And notice that this is for the user backrest root. So we'll do backrest root and then that. You know what? I'll move this up. Okay. Just keep it kind of flowing properly here. So a few things you can do with this. Run over to the Cyber Chef. And how you would do this is, get my life together here. Okay. So this is base64 encoded, so you can do you just take the recipe from base64, and there's your output. This right here. And John can crack that, Hashcat can crack that, but you can also do magic. You see what it says right here. It attempts to detect properties about whatever you put in the input section and tries to automatically figure it out. And so it gave you basically the same output right here. It knew to use the from base64 recipe, right? So sometimes when I get like very weird strings that I don't recognize, I'll throw them into magic just to see, just to see what I get back. But obviously I knew this was base64 encoded. Now that's the lazy way of doing that with CyberChef, which is, I gotta be honest, that's how I do it most of the time. But you can also, let's do the hack away. We'll take that string. We'll echo that into a file. Oh, let's put it. Oh, that's right. And into a file called decrypt. Let's do underscore hash. Okay. So, oh, I meant to put that in the, so we'll just do decrypt. Okay. Okay, so there's our hash, bcrypt hash, and we'll just crack that with let's do man hashcat. We'll search for bcrypt 3200. So we'll do hashcat mode 3200 decrypt hash. Then my favorite word list. We'll run that. And again, I did this earlier, so it's saying, hey, you already did this, but it'll give you this same output. Now remember, this is what and here's it cracked, right? Whereas CyberChef didn't crack it, it just gave you this. CyberChef gave you this, which is a lot quicker. But this actually goes through and cracks it, obviously. So there's our password. So we have this backrest root and then this password here. Okay, so how do I use this, right? How do I open up a GUI, right? This is running locally on this system. So how do I open up a GUI here? Well, you can actually just port forward 9898 to your local host and then open up a browser on your local host on Kali and visit the web page that way, right? And I have this command. We'll do oh brother, where's my command at? Okay, so here's the command. This is the bread and butter right here, 9898, right? And so we'll run that, and it's gonna ask for the password. Oh, wrong password. We want Gail's password here, right? Okay. So now I should be able to just open up local host 9898, and then boom, we get the backrest GUI that is being hosted on that system locally. Now we get it locally here on our Kali, and so let me grab that command before I lose it. Okay. And we have got that. Backrest underscore root and that weird password, and we're logged in. Okay. So we'll just do dev shelm because that's a temporary working location. And this Tehuti. I'll just create a new repo here. I mean, there's not really, we can create a plan, I guess, but I think the repo is more interesting, right? So we'll just do submit, create a new repo. So remember what backrest 1.7.2 is. It's a backup, like it backs up directories, right? It backs up anything really that you want it to. And so what if can we back up the root directory and then start dumping files out of there? Can we do that, right? So that's what we're going to see. So see when we created a new repo, because there were no repos here to enumerate, we get run command, right? Okay. So we do something, we can run a command backup /root, right? And it'll execute. Tehuti not found. Huh. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I refreshed and my repo was gone. So let's try that again. Dev shelm Tehuti. Okay, here we go. So it backed it up that root directory. Let's go back to run command. You can see here too. Well, then let's do dump the latest backup, right? Root.text. And there it is. There's your flag. So, but we don't have a shell, right, as root. So there's something we can do. Well, we backed up the entire root directory, right? So we just do dump latest, and we'll do root. And where's the SSH, the ID RSA file? It's in here, the .ssh. Give that some time there. For now, we'll catch up the notes. Logged in as backup, backrest root. repo and dev shim. Then we ran backup. Command button showed up. Ran backup root latest context. Root.ssh. Okay, so you have to like click away and then click back, looks like. And look, what does this look like? We got a ID RSA. It's formatted. Formatting is messed up, but we can just go here and grab all of that. Copy, minimize. Just come here. RSA. Throw that in there. And then we gotta chmod it, right? Because otherwise it's too open, right? So we did ID RSA root at that IP. It's gonna ask for the password because it's saying, hey, so permissions 0644 are for ID RSA are too open, right? So it's not gonna work. So what we're gonna do is chmod that, right? So now we got the proper permissions here. And so we'll run that command again. And we're in. Boys, we are in. You can see the root.txt right there. And yeah, that is artificial. Hopefully it wasn't, hopefully you learned something. I'll just do like a quick recap. Actually, let me grab my commands here actually. ID RSA, chmod 600, ID RSA. Text, okay, and that was basically it. So yeah, if we look at the notes here, so we found port 80 open. We did a dir search for some hidden directories. We found the login register. On the once we logged in, found that .h5 file. Upload section, we found the exploit for it. We created an environment. So that, because it requires specific dependencies. So we created that environment, then we ran it. You see us running it here. It created that .h5 file. H5 for upload. Executed it. That goes right here, actually. Then we got the reverse shell. Where we landed, right? When you land somewhere, you always want to hit LL, right, or LSA, and see what's there, right? We found this, ended up being useless, but you still want to be in the habit of doing that. We backed up 2 directories. We found the Gale user, and so we tried to SSH with that. Didn't work. It was worth a try though. That's how you want to be thinking. And so we go back into the app directory, go to instance, and we find a user's DB. When you see a .db, you better be thinking SQLite 3, right? The DB is already basically like if you did like show databases, it's already selected. So you select that, and then you do show tables, which would be this. This is the equivalent. And then you select all, and then we get these users and stuff, right? We already know Gail is on the system because we enumerated that. We backed up 2 directories, found Gail, and so we found her password in a few different ways. Then we SSH to it, yeah. So we did an ID and we found that sysadmin group. So we looked for any files related to sysadmin and we found that backup. And when we did netstat, we saw 2 ports running on 5. You saw me 2 ports running 5000 and 9898. You saw me ask what ports Backrest is using. There was also a version number, Backrest version number. Could have looked for exploits that way. But by this point, I was already pretty sure that Backrest was running 9898. So all we did was forward that port to locally so that I could access it from my Kali machine, right? And we also unzipped that file. And so once we port forwarded, we found that there was a login page for a GUI for Backrest, right? But we didn't have credentials for that. We could have tried our previous credentials, but we also had this backup file, right? So once we unzipped it, brought it to our system, or we exfilled it to our system, untarred it, ungzipped it, we found this base64 encoded string, and I showed you how to do that with CyberChef, also with Hashcat and John. And then so we logged in as Backrest root with the resulting password. We created our own repo, and when we did that, the run command button shows up. In my opinion, that's game over. And so we did a backup of the root directory. And then so once it backs up the root directory, that means that you can dump anything out of the root directory, right? So we dumped we dumped the flag first, but I wanted to show you just actually dumping the ID RSA or the .ssh file. And that gave us an ID RSA that we then used to authenticate to the system. So yeah, hopefully you learned something. I learned a few things here and there, and come back next week. Peace.